Hi, I'm Saren.
And I'm Ray.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics. Gimme, gimme.
Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hear that music, people? That music says now is the time for all good men and women and others to come to the aid of their fandom. This is Superconnectivity, and I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, the blue-eyed, not blonde-eyed, the blue-eyed bomber of the Burger Pits,
Phil Podcast Parrish.
Phil Podcast Perich, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who makes everything in this place happen. He does not actually have red hair. If you're watching us on video right now, that is just his aura, his energy, effusing from him like the Human Torch. It's amazing to watch. Anyway, hey kids, tonight our featured character is Moon Knight. Wah-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. Wah. Moon Knight. Moon Knight, the all-knowing. Moon Knight, the superhuman. Moon Knight, the guy who has problems. A lot of daddy issues, actually, as it turns out. Moon Knight is a character that leaves us with more questions than answers, I feel. Because there is so much in what they've done with him where it's interesting. Moon Knight is a character who is not expressly metafictional in the way a character like Gwenpool or Deadpool or She-Hulk or Howard or Ambush Bug is over, they aren't, he isn't a metafictional character, but he is as metafictional character as any could be, where his narrative is intentionally fluid, it is self-contradictory, and it is glorious at the same time. Now, we're going to talk about Moon Knight's first appearance in a minute, but I want to tell you how I first fell in love with Moon Knight. And that would be...
Wait, can I guess?
Go ahead.
West Coast Avengers?
No.
No,
Philip. No, you doubt my nerdery. I first fell in love with Moon Knight much in the same way that I fell in love with Nightshade.
Moon Knight wore a bikini? What?
Yeah, no. They actually might have even been the same issue of the official handbook to the Marvel Universe.
Oh, yeah.
You see, that's the thing. Like, if you were like a really, really nerdy kid, but not so nerdy that you got good grades, but just nerdy enough that you like to read small print comic book stories and reams of text about comic book characters, then that is how I first met Moon Knight. Was in the official Marvel handbook, the official Marvel Universe handbook, which gave the entire description of him, which, for what it's worth, did not shy away from his own multiple personality disorders, which is one of the interesting things about him, because he is a character who has embraced that for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And much like the Incredible Hulk, has treated it as something as, is this something we should embrace? Or is this actually, no, this is actually a problem. We need to actually get to a more functional personality.
Well, I think it's really weird because Doug Mensch, who created them, when they finally got to the Mark Spector, Stephen Grant and Jake Lockley. I think originally his creator just wanted those to be aliases, just like different disguises. But yes, slowly but surely over the years, writers have built on that until they've become full blown other personalities. Yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting in that, but. Here's what I love most about Moon Knight. And this goes back to where I also re-embraced Moon Knight, was with his series, I want to say in the late 80s, early 90s, where he and Luke Cage and Midnight formed a team and had the Moon Copter, and he was very much in his Batman phase, if you will. But if you read the handbook, you would see how his powers wax and wane with the phases of the moon, which is some beautiful Silver Age stuff there, where on the full moon, he is both bulletproof and has class 100 strength, which means that during a full moon, he can punch a Hulk, which is always what you want with a character. And just to have his powers be so somehow tied to this mystical quality, which gets into a deeper question about Moon Knight, which we'll get to in a minute. But his first appearance in comics is not quite so grandiose. Now, is it, Philip?
No, actually, he appears as like a antagonist in it was a 2-part story, Werewolf by Night 32 and 33. So who do they throw at a werewolf? A guy. Because most of the suit he's wearing, they said, "Oh, it's covered in silver. It's a Moon Knight,"
Mm-hmm.
And he's sent by this villainous committee who wants to capture the werewolf and stuff. And I mean, eventually he ends up double crossing the committee and helping free the werewolf. So
yeah, which was awesome. Which was awesome without a doubt. It's interesting in this way because from this origin. His becoming Moon Knight is this external factor of him being hired as a mercenary, Mark Spector. I believe he's Mark Spector in this, correct?
Yes, yeah. They
yes.
call him out. They even give a little bit of backstory because they hire him because he is this mercenary and he has all this expertise and stuff. Yeah, Frenchie's in there too.
Oh yeah. No, we get a great, and we get a nice introduction to some of that core, those core characters who will make up the Moon Knight mythos to come. But in this point in time, they're very much rooted in another person's story, which of course is Jack Russell, the Werewolf by Night. But this feeds into this idea, and this is just to go into where he gets metafictional, is this idea that is Mark Spector really an acolyte of Khonshu, or is Khonshu a manifestation of Mark Spector as this ultimate human potential character? Sort of a Rick Jones in the Kree-Skrull War kind of character. No one's ever really explored that, but that is this idea that Khonshu is actually subservient to Mark and not the other way around. And I think that Mark's relationship with Khonshu, especially in the current run, will be explored in this way. And here's what I will say. When Mark is separated from Khonshu, he is a very capable hero in his own right. He doesn't need the mental illness or anything like that to make him a hero. Mark Spector is a hero and will be a hero regardless of anything else. But it is this need to be more than a hero, to be a superhero, that drives him to Khonshu. And Khonshu, in their own way, if they are, that's sort of the thing. There's this, I was having a little online discussion about this, and it's whether or not, what is Khonshu's relationship with Mark? And I do feel that Khonshu is an abusive partner to Mark. And I feel that Khonshu has something of an imposter syndrome, where they feel they are not given the rank they should have based on their historical ranking But it's sort of like this, this old god who had their day, and now is just complaining about all the young upstart gods getting more play in the mythos than them.
Well, it depends how they portray Khonshu too, because like in what was that, the mid 2000s? Yeah, like Khonshu told he's like, you need to worship. You not only do you got to spread the word of Khonshu, you have to like give me offerings. And what offerings did he want? Like acts of bloody violence and stuff. So
yeah, but and again,
it depends who's writing it.
That speaks to a god who's not comfortable with his status.
Mm.
He's like, I gotta have the old blood. I gotta have I gotta do this the old fashioned way. Meanwhile, Thor and Bastet and everyone else, they're just ruling over this modern superhero landscape.
Oh yeah, that's sometimes Khonshu's like, everyone, the world's forgotten me. You got to go out there and make a big bloody spectacle of it so they remember me again.
Yeah, and the question within that is it, and this is where it comes into this question about who is Mark Spector.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Khonshu driving Mark Spector, or is it Mark Spector sort of dragging Khonshu into the consciousness? And because if he has a god to excuse his behavior, then he can make as bloody of a spectacle as he likes. That's sort of the idea. Just as all religions have often done in the past, utilize this poor defenseless god who weren't trying to hurt nobody, but brings them in to their manipulation of an idea of violence and gore.
Yeah, because like now, I mean, they pretty much spelled out Khonshu's real, but I mean, for many, many years, his friends, the Avengers, everyone was just like, they're like, really? A lot of people thought he was just had mental issues and was like, Khonshu's just a delusion of his.
I have not seen Khonshu interact with any of the other Egyptian pantheon.
So are you saying he might not be real? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying he could still not be real, or he may be.
Yeah, but what do the Asgardians have locked up though? At the end of Age of Khonshu, or Age of Khonshu, didn't the Asgardians lock Khonshu away somewhere?
Well, they might have locked something away. Was that Khonshu? Was that something? Was that some manifestation of Mark Spector's, a mega-level mutant brain? I don't know. It's like, it's like when you get into characters like the Sentry and like, what is the power and what is the mythos? This is the thing. Like, when Rick Jones bonded with the Supreme Intelligence to bring forth all the Golden Age heroes to fight for the Kree. Boy, that is aged poorly, given how the Kree have been more recently depicted. But it is this idea of this ultimate human potential.
Yeah.
That all humans have this ultimate potential to be Supermen, as good old Nietzsche told us. But that unlocking it is really difficult. And you get, which is why you always get any kind of situation in stories where it's like, oh, I could do it, but that was a one-time thing, I think. I don't think I could ever do that kind of power level again. Until, 20 years later, and, oh, we need that power level again. And now it's good as new. But as you go. But I will say that, so Phil, that was where I first got introduced to Moon Knight, over in the Ultimate Handbook to the Marvel Universe. Where did you first meet Moon Knight?
Of course, I'm going back and read them all, but the first time I think I saw Moon Knight, I mean, maybe I was projecting. I did see him in West Coast Avengers, and then in the Mark Spector Moon Knight series, and that's, I believe, started in 1989 when they pretty much they got rid of the other personalities. He mentioned Khonshu, but you never saw Khonshu, and basically he was like a street level. He's basically, I'm sorry, Ray, Marvel's Batman.
No, well, I liked him in that.
Yeah. I had no problem with that.
And he was better than Batman because, He had his gadgets, but he also knew to get a team behind him. Like I said, that's when he hires Luke Cage. And my favorite aspect in that was Luke Cage complaining about how he has to get his shirts tailor-made. Because, they're these fancy silk shirts, and they have to fit his frame, and you can't just buy that off the rack. And it's like, man, I hate getting shot because now I have to buy a new shirt. Mm-hmm. And immediately, it's like, and he says, I'll tell you as a guy who's had both bulletproof uniforms and bulletproof skin is better. And it does open up this question, like, well, why does Luke keep buying these excessively fancy shirts? Which maybe, quite frankly, leads into our modern day understanding of Luke Cage, where he's not wearing the fancy shirts anymore. He has tossed the tiara. He's just wearing a plain old shirt because he's running for mayor. But yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite runs there. I think we both got into Moon Knight at the same time.
Yeah.
I recall greatly when Dr. Voodoo was slowly being turned into a zombie, and they had to deal with that arc. They had a crossover with Punisher War Journal at the time, which I really enjoyed because it was honestly better than most Punisher books. I felt that War Journal humanized the Punisher. So, all in all, I felt that the whole thing really worked nicely. Mm-hmm. And then we've had later reboots and later returns to Mark. He had his time in the West Coast Avengers, as we said, which leads into our modern day understandings of him as he's working with Tigra again. Expressly because they were both West Coast Avengers. Mm-hmm. And, I find that interesting, especially because Tigra is dealing with him, and he is not the guy he was in the West Coast Avengers. He has kind of lost track of what he's connected to. And I think that this quality of the evolution of Moon Knight has been a positive for him. Again, moving into this idea of this question of a metafictional character who is unaware of their metafictionality. That idea that they are unbound from a linear narrative, but are also bound within their own internal logic of it. So you have this idea of if, then this. And when you have that disparate of a narrative and you have to force it into a single continuity, then creating a Khonshu and multiple existences as multiple beings. And I can be anyone and everything is this linear progression of what my power set is. I think it opens up a lot for Moon Knight. And in that sense, I don't think Moon Knight defeating all the Avengers is nearly as much of a power grab as people might think. My apologies.
I'm sorry. I had this theory a couple years ago that, because his origin is he dies and he believes Khonshu brings him back to life to serve him and stuff. But my whole theory was like, what if Mark died and stayed dead and this was like Khonshu came back as in his body and it basically he's been diluting himself for years since then. And, that's why we got the multiple others and stuff because, this basically higher level being trying to squeeze himself into a 3-dimensional body, just the human mind wasn't made for that.
I mean, that's a beautiful idea, the anti-apotheosis theory. Mm-hmm. I certainly like it. I certainly embrace it. I think that would be...
Because even him, seeing Khonshu later on and even, arguing with Khonshu that maybe that's just Khonshu trying to wake himself up and it's just like, no, I don't want that anymore, no.
Yeah, I mean, that would be actually a really interesting take on this. That we actually are going to evolve Khonshu. Although I've heard people call it Khonshu recently, which I don't know. But Khonshu evolving into a better human being. And when I say reverse apotheosis, this is actually a very deep, complex idea.
Mm-hmm.
Apotheosis is, of course, the idea of when a human being ascends past the mortal state to become a god. Anti-apotheosis, obviously, is when a god becomes human. And there is a very popular religion nowadays, which I won't mention, that has that as a central tenet, the idea of God becoming human. And when you consider the ideas of that, how dealing with being human would alter the moral philosophy of a god, it makes a lot of sense. You know, recently on The Good Place, you kind of explored that idea within a moral philosophical construct. This idea that, oh yeah, you know, these beings are higher, but what if they were forced to live these mortal existences? What would these mortal existences be played out for these higher beings? Because higher beings don't worry about the things that mortal beings do.
Mm-hmm.
And what if mortals got to be immortal? And what if higher beings had to live within a temporal frame? And this is where the evolution of the characters come. So, there's a lot to unpack there. We're going to have to see where it goes.
Oh, definitely.
You know, there's a series coming out that I think will deal with a lot of interesting things. I don't know how much of Kaneshu we're going to get in this.
Oh, yeah.
We may get some, we may get a lot. I don't know. But I imagine this is mostly going to be about two of Mark's personalities, Mark Spector
At least, yeah.
and Stephen Grant, working through things. And as I've said, my big expectation for the final episode is Stephen Grant getting into a cab in New York City, being picked up by Jake Loxley, saying, "Where you going, my friend?"
Well, did you see, I mean, I guess there's rumors floating around on the internet, as they always do, but it's like, what if they use the snap where it's like, you know, he already has the personalities, but it's Mark Spector who gets snapped, but then when he comes back, it's Stephen Grant who comes back. So it's like, you think you're confused after getting snapped for 5 years. Imagine if you have more than one person in your head.
That would be an interesting concept. That would be an interesting structure for this. That he'd been in the Mark Spector persona, and then he's like snapped into his Stephen Grant persona, because who knows? While he's in the Soul Stone, he may have readjusted who he was. Because that's the thing, we still don't know what happened to all of those beings, though we presume they were somehow stored within the Soul Stone, which we can imagine to be somehow the ultimate afterlife of the Marvel Universe. That whatever afterlife you're considering, it exists to some extent within the Soul Stone, even if as it may also exist as extra-dimensional planes. So, there's a lot to unpack there, Phil, and I, for one, am excited to see both where the current comic goes, which is really interesting. Even as I feel that Devil's Reign is one of these events that is kind of derailing where it should go. It's one of these moments where I'm like, you know what, maybe we don't need another big event to derail every book. You know, maybe we could.
The events never end at this point.
I know, that's the thing. And hey, do you want to talk comics?
Oh yeah, let's talk some comics.
Because let's talk Iron Man and Captain America, because that is kind of directly called out in Captain America by our protagonist. What's her name? Oh wait, that's Iron Man.
Oh, Veronica.
Veronica, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going to the ones that we've already read. Veronica, who is basically saying, you know, when I say Stanford, what do you think of? And it is, you know, all the people dead at Stanford. And it's like, that's the incident. And then she goes through all the other piles of bodies that are the result of superheroic shenanigans. You know? I mean, that's the idea here that is somewhat implied by these stories, is that, you know, it's like, oh, what if 9/11 happened once a month? What if every year had a 9/11? And that is a horrific idea. And then you can even expand it a little deeper. It's like, what if every year had a Holocaust?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is dark. That's why these crossover events aren't quite as enjoyable as you'd like them to be. But even throughout it, I do not fall for Veronica's sugar-coated words, because honestly, her falling in love with the helicarrier, although that is some prime Futurama humor, you know it's not the same.
I know, but for as smart as she's supposed to be, come on, that you don't think that AI is going to betray you as much as it can? Come on.
No, but to be fair, she was going to betray it as much as she could too.
Yeah, true.
That's the thing. It's not that she was mad that she was betrayed. It was that she didn't get hers first. That's the rule. Always make sure the woman gets theirs. And yeah, but I really enjoy Veronica as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know she is basically Hydra. I want to call her Hydra Pool, but she's actually Gwen Pool. But she's Hydra Gwen. She's the Gwenification of Hydra, which is unfortunate in its own right, but also beautiful that they've actually pulled it off so well. I like the Paladins. Honestly, that we get a nice piece with the Paladins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Think Tank's whole story is, but I do like it. I do like the conflict with Prima Donna. It's neat how they play it.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It really is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I said yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have some obscure villains and obscure weapons that are all being utilized here. I like the fact that the Hydra Cap armor is invisible to all the systems. I thought that was a great touch, which is why 51 wants it expressed. And it even really seems like 51 wanted the Hydra Cap armor expressly to stop whatever the controller was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the feeling there's going to be this heroic reunion at the end of the Paladins. And I'm looking forward to see where that is. I'm looking forward to see where Veronica winds up at the end.
Oh, yeah.
So, Captain America Iron Man #3 was an enjoyable book.
Yeah, I thought the writing's been good in this book. I like, especially in the beginning when they're talking about that robot. It's like, yeah, that thing gave you a hard time, like, back in the day, didn't it, Tony? He's like, yeah, but that was like an early suit, so I don't think that should count.
Oh, yeah. Well, poor Chameleon in his knockoff
Devil's Reign, yeah.
Iron Man suit. Did you read Doctor Strange?
Yes.
The Death of Doctor Strange.
Yes, I did.
#5. I liked this book.
Mm-hmm.
I liked, the Master of Black Magic, which they throw out a few times, about how the young Doctor Strange is manipulating everyone. I like how they defeat the monster, which is literally, being devoured and igniting him from within as they lock the 5 Sorcerer Supremes of 5 various dimensions into an area for this purpose. And I really like the ending that leads to the final aspect of this, which is this idea that, Doctor Strange is dead, and fighting death is a fool's gambit. And he must embrace his own death. And of course, this is the thing. It's not that death cares whether or not you stay dead. It's like, she doesn't want you fighting with her.
Mm-hmm.
As Crackers would say, if you have to explain it, it's not funny anymore. So, I don't think we've seen the last of Doctor Strange, but I am excited for how this sets up Clea Strange.
The new Sorcerer Supreme, yeah.
Yeah, of 2 dimensions. So, that's going to be fun, because now she has to deal with 2 dimensions, oh, the wackiness that will ensue. Because, I gotta protect this, I gotta protect the earthen dimension, but the dark dimension needs protecting too. I can't leave my 2 fronts unprotected. I wonder if that's going to lead to Wong eventually becoming the source supreme of the Earth dimension, as we have in the MCU. And what I will really like with that is if they build it up as a thing where he has to deny. It says, no, I do not wish it. I am a studier and a master of the mystic arts, but I do not wish the burden. And saying, well, you know what? Here's a burden. Please carry it. And then you have to deal with it.
Charlie Esser, all I will say is this is written by Jed McKay, who our Black Cat writer, our Moon Knight writer. Hold your questions for about a month or so. You may have a chance to ask them. So just keep that in your hat. Yes.
I'm just saying, there's a lot. Well, hopefully by then they can actually say what they want to say. That's always the issue with these.
I know.
With our poor Mayor Cage, it's like, we know we're getting Mayor Cage. We know that is the next arc for the Marvel Comics, is Mayor Cage. And I do want a Spin City book called Mayor Cage, which is all about Cage and First Lady
Jessica
Cage Jones, or Jones Cage, and little Danny Cage. They're dealing with all the troubles that is the City Hall.
I told you, I want a Luke Cage Mayor for Hire book.
Well, that's bribery, sir, and is illegal.
Just maybe not for hire.
No, I understand. I understand what you were saying, but I think Luke Cage's Mayor will be very interesting and fun.
Oh, Luke Cage, hero for Mayor.
There we go.
That sounds better.
America's hero. And where it goes. And honestly, if we eventually get President Cage, I am all about that. I want to read the 20 years of President Cage in the Marvel Universe. That's going to be awesome.
All right.
Okay, I got one last book. Do you have any? Well, actually, do you want to talk Mary Jane and Black Cat?
Yeah.
Tell me about that book.
All right. Well, it opens up with Felicia going to visit Peter in the hospital, and Mary Jane's already there, but she's being held at gunpoint by Parker Robbins, the Hood. Well, the former Hood. He doesn't have his hood.
God, isn't he dead yet?
No, but so he's trying to blackmail Felicia. He's like, he's threatening to kill Peter and Mary Jane if Felicia doesn't go and help, get his hood back. And Felicia's smart enough to say, no, I need the redhead. She's part of my crew, so you got to let her come with me. So, and he's like, okay, that's fine. But if he aren't back by sunrise, I'm going to kill this. I'm going to kill Peter. So
this random dude that I don't know who he is for some reason.
And if you don't remember, a demon ate the Hood in the last issue of Hawkeye Freefall. So Felicia and Mary Jane start going around to people who were there, questioning them what happened to this Hood and stuff. Like Felicia goes to question Count Nefaria, who's basically, what movie is this? He's watching some movie at I guess this drive-in. But he's like, oh, you're not interrupted. This is my favorite movie. Felicia's getting nowhere with him, so Mary Jane charms the pants off him. He's like, oh, Mary Jane Watson, I love your work. I love your work. And she knows I guess she knows the director who made this movie he loves. She's like, oh, tell me more. So
yes, well that works. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Yeah. So then it's just them going around questioning all these villains. Oh, look, there's a panel of them partying with the Rhino, I guess.
Rhino is easy. I just don't know what he knows.
I know.
Rhino just tends to be like, I'm just here.
Then just them beating down the Shocker.
Oh, poor Shocker.
He's cannon fodder all the time.
Yeah, that guy. He's got problems. In fact, I think even the She-Hulk mentioned it, where he's got a bunch of icy.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically punch drunk all the time. It's kind of very sad.
But basically, the demon that ate the Hood is now in the form of a duffel bag that's in the safe of Tombstone. So they have to Ray Tombstone's penthouse, and of course they trick him because he thinks he's chasing Felicia, but meanwhile he's chasing Mary Jane in one of Felicia's suits while Felicia cracks the safe. So
well, there you go. That's it.
And so they bring this so they talk to this demon, and it's like, hey, we need this hood. So yeah, they go back to the hospital, and Felicia's like, I got your stupid hood, and Parker Robbins is like, oh, take that off, and then she's like, sure. She throws him the hood, and it's like, no, the bag demon, was happy eating your hood, but it wanted the whole thing. So you're saying, when's this guy going to die? Well, the bag demon eats Parker Robbins.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. But then again, it's not the first time he's died.
Yes.
That's the thing.
I know.
And to be fair, the whole plot line with Parker Robbins is that he is a willing vessel for Dormammu. And it's like, I think Dormammu is like, you know what? I like this kid. This kid's got the moxie. He keeps on screwing up, but you know what? So does Mordu and Caecilius and all these guys. This is the first punk I ever really saw who fought his way back from all this stuff on his own with no mystical training at all, He's just a guy who says, no, I'm going to keep on fighting. So I don't think we've seen the last of Parker Robbins. I love Parker Robbins. He is a wacky, zany little character, and I'm looking forward to where he shows up next.
I like one of the best parts of the issue after he gets eaten. Peter wakes up out of bed, and there's Mary Jane and Felicia, and both in black hat suits. He wakes up. He goes, "Oh, this dream again? Oh, be gentle with me."
Waka waka. Yeah.
I know, it was good. Once again, another Jed MacKay, the same man who wrote Death of Doctor Strange this week. So yeah, Jed MacKay had some.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go to Thor?
Yes. Yeah, Thor 21.
Yeah, Thor 21 is interesting. If Thor didn't have enough mommy issues, apparently the Spirit of the Storm sees him as hers as well.
And she's kind of like, oh, you thought Worthy, you got the wrong idea of Worthy. No, Worthy was like, hey, you can spill some blood, create some damage. So.
Yeah, but that doesn't really make any sense. Lots of people.
I know, it's like, wait a minute, Steve Rogers was Worthy? Wait, what?
Yeah, which I think that goes to the corruption.
Yeah, I think because
when you throw things into the sun, and that's the thing, and that is the thing of these beings that are not temporal.
Mm-hmm.
These mystical beings are bound by the beliefs of those around them, including those with very powerful beliefs. And so when 1 billion souls murdered by Odin infect it...
No, 1 billion.
1 billion, fine.
That's what it says, yeah.
I mean, Odin's killed a lot of people over the eons, so... And we get to the storm with the rage of Mangog.
Yep.
Which, he wasn't he ain't dead yet. It's interesting. I enjoy the dynamic between everyone. I like Thor's work with this storm spirit. I like Odin basically saying, the hammer's always been alive. It was this and this and then this.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how they tie it back to this idea of, you can only throw so much evil into the sun until it starts to darken the sun. And how that all ties back to the final reveal of Mangog at the end.
Well, again, it's just eons of abuse because, the Mangog thing is just the latest thing. I mean, Odin trapped this being in the hammer how many, eons ago? And
well, actually, originally into just a piece of Uru.
Yeah.
And then the Uru gets turned into the hammer, which somehow kills numerous dwarves as they are making it, and their souls go into the hammer as well. So basically, it's just this hammer that has had to deal with a lot of darkness over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to see if this is all a process to cleanse it. along those lines, at the end of it, it's pretty messed up. Yeah. There was something I wanted to talk about, and I've completely lost that thread.
Mouse.
Well, yeah, that was something else I wanted to talk about.
Oh.
I actually wanted to tie that into Moon Knight because there was the quality of Moon Knight as a Jewish superhero that has not been heavily explored. But yeah, so, and it's one of these things where it's local news that gets nationalized because people have decided that Mouse should be removed from a local Tennessee school board's curriculum in its entirety. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. I can see, saying, Mouse isn't a children's book.
Yeah.
So this should definitely be for high school students.
Yeah.
This is definitely a T+ rated book. But once you get to a T+ rated book, it should be okay. But to say, no, we can't have it at all is problematic. And the fact that it happened during International Remembrance Day is particularly bad imaging. And then you have what their actual official objections were, which was that the book contains the phrase "God damn," as well as nude depictions
of a mouse. Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes you stop for a minute and say, I don't know if it's worse that they're just, anti-Semitic racists, or that they're just Puritans who were they were just that horrified by a book that had the word "goddamn" in it.
It's pretty bad because I believe I read an article that said one of the local churches down there is going to do live readings of it and stuff. So it's pretty bad when the church has to step in and be like, "Oh no, school, no."
Yeah, well, this is the problem. This is why local elections are important.
Oh yeah.
If you don't want Nazis teaching your kids, you have to show up at the school board because someone told the Nazis, hey, if you get on the school board, you can put Nazi stuff in your school, in kids' schools, and they don't know no better. Hey, so vote your local elections, kids. Read up, be involved, you have to be at least as passionate as a Nazi to actually make change in this world.
I think the best thing I saw about it was I think Stephen King tweeted about it. He's like, "Hey kids," he's like, "No, if they ban those books, go out on your own and go read that book because that's the most important thing you should be reading. The thing they don't want you to read."
I mean, this is true. For real, that's the thing. It's like I don't think a lot of other books get banned, although obviously lots of books get banned, and there are books that are banned for reasons that maybe you can argue are not a good reason to ban the book. There are books that are offensive, but sometimes I think people use offense as an excuse to just ban. Because if you normalize banning books, then certainly when they want to ban these other books, it's not seen as so problematic. If you've already banned Huckleberry Finn so as not to offend people because it utilizes the N-word a lot, certainly you won't mind that we ban these other books that, say the Holocaust happened. Because they say the word "goddamn" in them. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the news here in comic book land. Just ended on a dark, somber note. Philip, it's a crazy world we live in, but I'm glad I live in it with you.
You want me to do some plugs?
Do me some plugs. Let's have some happy news.
All right.
How can people follow us and talk to us? Maybe give us money.
I was going to say, yeah, send us some good thoughts on the, Moon Knight, all your new comics every week, anything. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And follow us. You can find Superconnectivity on Facebook, Twitter. Find all the links for all the social medias for all the shows we do. There's Facebook fan groups. YouTube channel. Every episode we do gets a video, so you can watch on video, you can listen on the podcast, or do both. I mean, we love the downloads and the views, so yeah, do both. But yes, like Charlie said, we're paying for this out of our own pocket now. It's a project of love, but all support is appreciated. So everything is appreciated, but $3 to $5 gets you all our creator interviews, including the monthly DG Chichester talks early. You get them early every month. And there's Patreon exclusive only to the Patreon, the superhero movie brackets where we, the worst superhero movies of all time are duking it out. We already did Howard the Duck in the 1990 Captain America movie. So if you want that result, subscribe to the Patreon. 2015 Fantastic Four and X-Men Apocalypse are next. And after some more Marvel, we'll get the DC, we'll get the Indies. It's all there. So lots of more bang for your buck there. And, of course, there's merchandise, Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks merch. It's all at Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics.
And, of course, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet things like Naomi when I stay up for it. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. Thank you, Tristan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of Superconnectivity. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've been edified by our elucidations. Please come back again next week and super connect with us again. Good night.
Good night, kids. That's right, the moon is up.
The moon is up. Means class 100 strength.
Oh, man.
Well, if it's the full moon, but yeah.
There's been so many retcons of that character.
Well, that's what's fun about it.
I know. Well, especially that first appearance. It's like, hey, I was just undercover.
It was all a part of Kanju's master plan.
Hi, I'm Russell.
And I'm Justin.
And we're from the
Hold up. Listen up, you nerds. Tired of being a little goody two-shoes? Had enough of always talking about acts of courage and heroism? Well, you have come to the right place, I guess. Tomes of Evil is the comic book supervillain podcast, where every month we do a deep dive on a different comic book supervillain, as well as multiple sub-series on some of the most iconic foes of all time, including Darkseid, Doctor Doom, Scarecrow, and...
Named Hobgoblin, and you're right on time for your funeral.
I better be getting paid for this. So what are you guys waiting for? Bring on the bad guys.
Tomes of Evil, a comic book villain podcast.